There are a lot of great builds in Destiny that you can run right now, but I want to go over something in this video that you can actually run with all of those subclasses. Typically in the game right now, you pretty much want to get an energy weapon that's going to match a 3.0 verb with its specific subclass, because that is normally how you're going to get the most benefit out of them. Well, there is still something in the game that is one of the strongest pairings that does not take advantage of any of the 3.0 verbs, and it is honestly one of the best setups you can run. This is very good for both in-game and normal content, and I could highly see a lot of people running this when the legendary Lightfall campaign comes out. Really quick though, if you are in a market for a brand new PC, be sure to head over to Apex Gaming PCs and check out my entire PC line. As you see, we do have the Snoozer, Sleeper, and Dreamer line, and all these are price optimized to run Destiny 2. Also, if you want to change any parts on my PC line, all of them are completely customizable, and if you decide to purchase a PC, remember you can use code REST to check out to save up to $250 on your next purchase. Links to everything will be in the description. If you decide to check anything out, I truly appreciate it because it really does help the channel out. So jump right into it. As you probably all saw from the thumbnail, we're going to be pairing the Osteostrega with Necrotic Grip. Now I want to update this for season 19 so you can have something prepared for when we go into Lightfall, because this is honestly probably what I'm going to be running just because Osteostrega is such a good gun. So if you don't know what this does, this has the exotic perk Screaming Swarm. Fires a stream of sentient toxic projectiles that track the targeted enemy. So you don't really have to aim the gun, it just shoots for you. But this also does have the perk Toxic Overload. Landing a final blow or multiple precision hits triggers a burst that poisons nearby targets. So this is very strong for ad clear, because what it's going to do is you get a kill, it's going to just spread poison around. That poison will actually constantly tick up until an enemy dies, and then they will just disintegrate and die. This is also very good for majors, because if you do land those precision hits, it will also apply that poison, which will work the exact same way as the other ones do. It will constantly tick up, and it makes it really easy to kill major targets as well. And then finally, the catalyst for this does have a poison final blows will return ammo to the magazine. So this is going to let you never have to reload the gun. You can get an absurd amount of ammunition in this thing, and it is very, very fun to use. Now this is craftable. As you see, I did go for a 100 range on mine. It's probably what I would recommend doing if you are trying to go for a specific role, so you can just hit targets from further away, since the gun is already going to track to the enemies anyway. Now the reason this is so good, because you can pair it with Necrotic Grip. If you don't know what this does, this has the exotic trait Grasp of the Devourer. Damaging combatants poisons them, dealing increased damage over time. Defeating a poison combatant spreads the condition. Now this does provide a small airborne effectiveness benefit to weapon sorrow. Not worried about that. The main thing is that this will pair extremely well with Osteostrega. So the way Necrotic Grips works is you basically get a melee kill, it will make poison. That poison will then spread to another enemy, and then if that poison enemy dies, it will then spread an additional poison burst, and this can go on forever. The downside to Necrotic Grip is that you would have to melee to get this to work, but if you pair it with Osteostrega, since it applies the same poison effect, they will essentially combine together and synergize. So now your Osteostrega poison cloud will then go on to make another poison cloud, and again, this could be unlimited. The damage will always be ticking up, and you could just kill one enemy essentially, and if the enemies are grouped up enough, you can sit back and everything will just die over time, and it can spread more poison to let other stuff die over time. Now obviously it's very good with Osteostrega, but it's also not that bad for a melee option as well. If you just need to get a melee off, it's going to do some extra damage. If something's close to you, you can run away and it'll die. Now the cool part, as you saw, I'm going to be running a Glade. This is not crafted yet, but I would highly recommend running Judgment of Kelgaroth. If you need a video on what is the best crafted, I do have one on my channel if you guys would like to go check that out. But glaives will also pair with Necrotic Grip. So Necrotic Grip's melee will interact with glaives, and now your glaive will also be spreading poison as if you were meleeing an enemy. So now you have your glaive and your exotic primary playing into your exotic, synergizing extremely well, and you can just act clear and kill an absurd amount of mages. Now for boss DPS, go with whatever's in the meta. Obviously linear fusions are very strong right now, so I just have a Cataclysmic on. Now like I said earlier, you can run this with every subclass: Stasis, Void, Arc, Solar. No matter what, Solar is probably going to be better for in-game content because you do have that Well of Radiance. I personally like to run this with Void because you can pair it with Devour. So I run Feed the Void. So when I defeat a target with the Void ability, it will activate Devour. So this is going to be very strong because I'm going to be playing heavily into my Grenade as well, which I will be running Vortex. This will always give me Devour, which means I will always heal on every single kill, and I will get Grenade energy. I also like to run Child of the Old Gods, and since I'm using Devour mainly to heal, I run Empowering Rift. This is going to be very good for setting up a boss situation. You throw an Empowering Rift down, they'll debuff enemy with Child of the Old Gods, and then you can go to town with whatever is the meta power weapon. I do also run Cataclysmic because it does do a little bit more damage than the other Nova Bomb, but they did buff Vortex if you want to run this. It's a little bit more fun. It's better for ad clear. but I think overall Cataclysmic is still going to be your best option. The fragments, I run Echo of Expulsion, so my void ability found on blows will cause targets to explode. Echo of Remnant, so my grenade effect, specifically Vortex Grenade, will last longer, which means more damage. So this is going to be very good again for another weaken effect. Pairing that with Child of the Old Gods, you should pretty much always have a boss weaken, and this also just adds extra damage to your grenades because you're going to be weakening enemies that are in your grenades. Then finally, Echo of Persistence, so void buffs applied to me will last longer, specifically things like Devour now has a larger time, so it will never go down. And remember, getting kills will refresh the timer over and over again, and it is very, very easy to keep up, which in return will let you get infinite grenades and pretty much infinite survivability. Now, I do also like to run 100 Resilience for survivability. That's a 40% damage reduction alongside 100 Discipline, so I can get as many grenades as possible. Pairing both of these with Devour pretty much makes you unkillable and lets you have infinite grenades. Now, the reason I play it into grenades because I'm going to be running a Elemental Ordnance mod, so when I defeat a combatant with a grenade, it will spawn a Elemental Well and match my subclass type, so I will spawn a Void Elemental Well. I'm going to be running 2 Elemental Ordnance on my helmet and arm piece, and I'm going to be running Bountiful Wells to take advantage of that. So this makes all my Charger Light mods that create wells be able to stack. So with Bountiful Wells inserted in and 2 equipped, I will be receiving 3 Void Elemental Wells because Bountiful Wells essentially gives you an additional well alongside these being able to stack. So now you're going to have 3 Void Elemental Wells, which is going to help out a lot with your ability energy with getting things like your melee and rift back, since you pretty much always have grenade energy in the first place. Now, I do also like to run a Seeking Wells just so the wells will track to me, makes it a little bit easier, and that's going to play nice into our other mod, which is Well of Tenacity. So whenever we pick up a Void Elemental Well, we will actually get a bunch of damage reduction. Pairing that with Devour and 100 Resilience, you are almost unkillable. It is very, very strong, and again, you're going to be feeding your abilities back all the time because you're going to have infinite grenades creating wells everywhere. Now, for other mods, I do have seasonal mods equipped, but you don't need to run these. But right now in the season, we do have access to passive aggressive guards. This lets you take less damage when you're holding a glaive and nearby enemies. So this means now, again, with everything else we've already talked about, holding a glaive near enemy is going to let you get even more damage reduction, which is very, very nice. You can actually melee enemies, and I also do have a Lord Kelvin's Basilisk, so my void grenades will now be able to stun overload champions. This is also very good because disruption will actually lower the output of enemies damage. So this means when you throw a grenade on enemy, not only are they doing less damage if they're in it long enough, they're also going to be weakened, and you're just debuffing the enemies like crazy. Now, you could change these out for whatever you want to. If you want to run things like Perpetuation, so you get more class ability energy when you throw your rift down when the season goes away, that could be very, very good. So you can have even more Child of the Old Gods up for when you need them. But on top of that, if next season comes around, there's even more mods that play into this, which I'm sure it will be. You could definitely run those as well. And on the topic of seasonal mods, I also do running overload rounds for my SMG. Again, this is going to change with every single season. You can also change this out to whatever you need to right now. If you even want to run double primary, that's also an option, just so you can deal with champions and harder content. But I do also like to run a bolstering detonation. So when I damage an enemy with a grenade, it will grant me class ability energy. So now, since I'm making all those wells with my grenade, on top of that, damage enemy will also give me rift energy back, which again means more Child of the Old Gods when I need them. So another thing you should note is that exotic weapons have a better chance to proc ammo finder. Since we're going to be getting a lot of kills with Osteostriga, it is very beneficial to take an ammo finder, which is going to come in handy with things like the Legendary Lightfall campaign, so you can make sure you always have heavy. Now, I also like to run a kinetic siphon. You don't have to take this, but since I'm going to be getting rapid kills with my kinetic weapon anyway, I'll make orbs of power, which in return will help out with things like innervation, which means when I pick them up, I will get grenade energy. Since you're taking Nova Bomb, which is pretty much just a one and done super, you can throw it. You're pretty much always going to have the ability to pick these orbs up, which is just nice for getting your grenades back all the time. And then finally, I do have an energy diffusion substrate, which again, you can change out for anything you want to, or if there's another seasonal mod next season, plop that on, and I also have a custom dampener. So you can take out these season mods, and this is going to be very, very good for any content in the game. But as of right now, I think these are the better options to run, and it makes this build even more fun to play. But that's pretty much going to do it for the updated Poison build. I'm excited to see if Strain has any unique interactions with this. As of right now, it doesn't seem like it's going to, but I'd imagine this setup is still going to be very strong with Strand. And like I said earlier, this is probably what I'm going to run in the Legendary Lightfall campaign. I haven't fully decided on the build that I'm taking in quite yet, but I know this is probably going to be up there with the go-to option because Osteostriga is just extremely strong. And again, you can pair this with every single subclass. I just like to run in a Void to get that Devour proc. But if you prefer anything else, just be sure to equip that. Just make sure you have Osteo Sugar Necrotic Grip equip, and you are good to go. Now, as of recording this, the API is currently down, so I cannot post a dim link to this like I do for all my other builds. But like I said, a good chunk of this build is just Osteo Sugar and Necrotic Grip. You can pair it with any subclass, run whatever mods you want to, and you're still going to get a lot of benefit out of it. I hope this did give you some good recommendations on what you would like to run with it, but I do apologize because I am just not able to post a dim link. But anyway, if you guys did enjoy and learn anything new, consider subscribing, drop a like, turn notifications on. Also, if you like joining my Discord or follow me on any of my socials, all that will be linked in the description. But just know watching this video is way more than enough, and that every single bit of support from you all is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.